Welcome back. Long time no speak, so to speak. Yes, I think I lost my mojo recently over the last couple of weeks. It's just with this lockdown. It's the one thing to watch the herds of wildebeest majestically creeping across the rolling hills of North London, but it is getting a little bit tiring now. Also, there haven't been any steampunk events for so long since lockdown. And they were always the thing that I really looked forward to, getting everything ready for them, new ideas, new things built, and then going off and having a lovely weekend surrounded by other steampunk enthusiasts who are all so nice and interesting and lovely to speak to. And also, best of all, being next to the sea in Bridlington and Whitby and other places like that. Recently, a really nice person called Erin from North America who drives a truck got in touch and said that she wants to steampunk the inside of her truck, the cab, where she spends most of her time. It's so exciting. It's going to be one that fits on, a device that fits on to an existing cupboard door that's going to store plastic bags and have some other storage and bits and pieces. Very exciting. So I started off by coming up with a couple of scribbles, and then slowly over the last week, I think it is, it's evolved, working closely with Erin, into this design, and it is brilliant. I'm so excited to be starting on this. So last night I designed the horn shape. I thought I might as well start there, for better or for worse. So on 3D Builder, which I haven't used for some time, such a joy to use. It really is so simple and intuitive. I created a horn with some extra fittings for some more 8mm copper pipe, because I have now got permission to over-complicate it, which is a joy. And here we are the following morning. 9.5 hours it took to print. I'm glad I left it running all night, but it looks beautiful again with this metallic copper fibre. It is gorgeous. It's so strong. I'm actually I haven't prized it up yet. I will do that now. This is really so exciting. This has really cheered me up already. It primed up really easily. There's the raft I got it to print, so it would have a nice flat front and stick properly. There's the horn, look at that. And on the back, there are the two things that 8mm pipe will fit in. And that's going to fit on the front. It's not even on this drawing. I will put one on the screen now. So that's the bit where you're going to poke the things in and out of the plastic bags. And I'm going to create some sort of door that opens and closes so you can keep the plastic bags and also have something nice to look at when you don't want to look at plastic bags sitting there. Right, next thing is to start making the wooden enclosure. Right, I'm going to start at the very beginning because it's a very good place to start. Here's the printed plan, and the main thing, the place to start, is the overall dimensions, because I know it's got to be 304.8mm by, it's not printed the other one. Oh yes, it has 296.8. The measurements are a little strange in some situations because Erin is working in inches, I'm working in millimetres. I've tried working in inches, and having had a lifetime being trained in millimetres, I really can't come to grips with it. So I'm going to design this bit, make the panel. I'm not going to cut all of it on the laser cutter because I want to leave lots of flexibility. I'm actually going to use circle cutters or hole cutters to cut bits and pieces out. So that's exciting as I arrange things and work out what they're going to look like and how best to make them look, if that makes any sense. So next thing, I know how big this is going to be, the hinge. Now I've got a variety of hinges like you have, and I thought, oh, that's a nice old brass one, but that was off my grandparents' wardrobe and it is so worn. I was thinking it's one of these clever automatic lifting hinges, but actually it is just through sort of 70 or 80 years of constant use, so that's not really any good. Not these little ones, not really very good. So I've settled on some of this piano hinge. I've cut a piece off the right height, which is that height, and I want it to appear like this. I don't want to see the ends or the edges of the hinge. I just want to see this bit, the knobbly bits up the middle. The ply I'm using is 3mm thick. There's a piece I prepared earlier. So somehow I need to get it looking like that. Now that's not bad, but the hinge doesn't actually stick out high enough. I've only had 3 arms, so handy. If you look at it, it's just flush, so about 3mm high, so that's no good. So what I'm going to try and do, I say try and do, is put this in the vise and bend it a bit somehow. I'll give it a go. I think we'll forget that. What a state. It's one of those jobs, bending metal, that if you haven't got the right equipment, it is so difficult. Slight change of plan. I've decided to cut out, as well as the outside, engrave the 2 lines, the twiddly bits around it, and cut out the one for the horn shape, one for the flickering flame shape, and the door, like we talked about with the hinge slot. So I'll send that through to the laser cutter. What a pain. Dear old Windows XP computer that I rescued from somewhere. Oh, it is working. I thought it had given up the ghost because it wasn't actually calculating any G-code. Oh, brilliant. It is. It's also so nice that G-code is still the international standard for working machine, computer-controlled machine tools. In fact, all these years later, so many other types of code and languages have all gone out of fashion and disappeared. G-code is still there, so it's now turning all the instructions for moving the laser into G-code and sending it through a very, very slow USB cable. But speed isn't important. Right, start. Is it going to do it in the right order? No, it's not. Oh, sod it. Hang on. Pause. Stop. It is so annoying sometimes. I don't know. I think it's the software that comes with the laser cutter. What it's done, because I was stupidly explaining about this without seeing, it's swapped the order around. Oh. Now I need it to cut this out first because I need it to be lined up. If I do all the black cutting and then the engraving, they may not, the wood will drop slightly or move slightly, it won't line up. It is so annoying. Right, let's do all that again now. Ha! This time it's doing it. So the red is still the first thing to be cut, and then the black. Why it always changes? Actually, I've got my suspicions. I think, and I've got a whole load of different colours for different style cuts, I think it always puts the black up to the top, because the row of colours you can choose on the bottom, we start with black. Red's the third one along. It doesn't make any sense to me, and this software is rather strange to say the least. You can't actually set up anything in setup at all, which is annoying. Right, plan B, start. I know I've said it many times, but laser cutters are incredible. Just love it so much, the things that it enables you to do. I mean, you know, draw it 1 minute, cut it out, engrave it, and that, yeah, that's engraved very nicely actually. That's nice, good. Well, I've bothered to put the camera on the tripod. I've got my hands free. There's the hole, hole. Let's see. I think, and I hope I've done it correctly. I just wanted it to be flush. It is. Look at that. Perfect. So I can glue that. This is going to have a flange on it. So a ring that will laser cut glued onto that. So I've got something with some nice brass dome nuts to fix it in place. That's lovely. I'm so pleased with these things. Very exciting. Although I did notice with my endless striving for perfection, well, something like it, that because I'd printed it that way up, and I now remember why I was going to print it the other way up but didn't. Isn't it nice and shiny? That's amazing. It had to started printing there, and then obviously with this steep curve even, it got a little bit rough. It was pushing it a little bit much to sort of do the undercut. So I'm going to try and sand that. I'm just not happy, and I'm going to try and sand it before trying to print another one, because another 9.5 hours and half a pound of tuppenny rice and all that is going to be a little bit annoying. So I'm going to put it on the lathe because I've just found it will fit. That last bit was probably out of focus because I forgot to put it back on auto. I really do need a bigger workshop. This is crazy. Right, there's the 3-jaw chuck, and this luckily fits on the outside because you can use the chuck either way. If I press that flat, I'm going to open the chuck, and that's, yeah, well, it's worth a try. I have to say, not being completely stupid, allegedly, I always do wear my safety spectacles. I'll go and get some abrasive paper and see how quickly and effectively I can destroy this. I'm very happy with that. Like we were taught at Central School of Art and Design many moons ago, your fingers are far more sensitive than your eyes at spotting any slight inadequacies regarding smoothness, and this feels absolutely gorgeous. That's lovely. I just love the way the light catch. Look at that. This is so exciting because it's the first horn shape I've ever 3D printed. So this opens up a whole plethora of new opportunities. Right, what's next? I suppose the next thing is to get the door fitted with the... No, it's not. Well, it might be. I think actually the next thing is to make the edges. Now, because we want as much size, because it's only 2 inches, it's going to 50mm, it's going to stick out. So the space is limited, so I'm not going to use huge thick pieces of pine for the edges. I'm going to, and I realised this just a few minutes ago, I've got plenty of this. Not with screws all the way down it, I hasten to add. I used that to hang all the chronograph clocks on when I was testing them. But this stuff, square pine, which means in each corner, if it'll fit, I'm going to have this. The sides can be made of, again, the 3mm laser ply. They'll be quite strong enough, it'll keep it all nice and rigid. And it means having a piece of this pine in each corner that Erin can screw through the back of her cupboard door, the plastic one, and put wood screws, just 4, to hold all this into place, which will be quite adequate. I'm very happy with that idea. That's going to be really nice because it'll mean the inside is really large as possible. Look at this, it's all coming together. I've got the sides cut out, taking into account the overlap at the corners. I've got blocks cut out that are going to reinforce the corners, like I say, and from the back can be screwed in to provide support for the whole thing. And then at the top, where the flame effect bulb is going to be here, so I've cut a little hole which I put some nice gauze on just to make sure that heat can circulate. It's only a 2-watt laser, but just to make sure. 2-watt laser, pardon me, 2-watt LED thing, flickering thing, so that's not going to be a problem. And then that's going to support that slightly lower here so that it can have a bulb holder in, which I've ordered, which is a G4 bulb holder. There's the little cubby hole at the top with the cupboard door, and then that leaves the rest of this for the plastic bags. And then the whole thing will fit onto the front of an existing door, cupboard door, within the cab. Brilliant, I'll get this glued together now. A change of plan, and I'm very pleased about this, because the problem with this, gluing things like this with PVA, which I want to use because it's the proper wood glue, is that if you get any on the outside, the wood stain will not cover it, and you will be left with really obvious, very pale patches where the glue's gone over. Even if you can't see it, so there's a trace of glue, it won't work. So what I've decided to do is to paint all these bits, stain them all first. What a fabulous idea. Well, I'm not going to wear gloves because I like getting covered in it. It's very good stuff actually. After I'd realised, well, if you think back to the original stain, the spirit-based stain, absolutely stunk. I mean, it was brilliant stuff because you'd only have to put one coat on really, and it would soak in because it was so thin. Look absolutely fantastic, but it reeked, absolutely reeked. And also, as a result of that, sounds like it destroyed all sorts of parts of the planet's, not ozone layer, but other things. So they stopped that, and I had to switch to using this special clever chemical, or well, everything's a chemical, isn't it? But a different version that's water-based, I believe. Some sort of acrylic polymer or something. And this is very good, especially after I realised that unlike the spirit-based thing, you don't paint it on and immediately wipe off any excess. No. It took me quite a long time to realise that, because obviously I don't read the instructions. When I did realise that, perhaps because I accidentally read the instructions, I can't remember why, I realised it gives a beautiful sheen. You put 2 coats on and then you buff it up, not wiping it off in between, and it is a beautiful finish, absolutely gorgeous, really deep lustre. So I will get this done. Look at this, I've just put the second coat on. I mean, wood is just so beautiful. Look at the grain. Oh, it's just gorgeous. I just can't wait to see the copper, brass, metallic, pretend glass bits. Oh, it's just going to look superb. It's so exciting. And here's another thing which I thought I'd attempt again, given my newfound joy of spring and all that. This clock, I mean, it works. It uses a snail cam there, rotated by a clock movement. This is an unpainted one, as I'm sure you can see. It's about the third one that I built in the end. I didn't bother to paint it because I needed to get it working. This bit works, the snail cam. That moves a lever up, that moves all sorts of other bits and pieces, and finally rotates the pointer to show you the time on here, time minutes and seconds there. And it looks lovely. I'm really pleased with it. And while I was designing it about 3 years ago, I thought, ooh, there's a little bit of space there. We can't have space. How can we overcomplicate everything? AM and PM. I mean, not that it's bleeding obvious. If it's dark, it's going to probably be PM, you know. If you've had lunch, it's PM usually. Anyway, so several iterations later, I got this AM and PM thing working, and it flops backwards and forwards, and the idea is, as this back arm lifts up, reaches the top of the snail cam and drops down, and this lever, which you can't actually see any of what I'm talking about because it's transparent. Well, there we are, sort of, perhaps. The lever falls down into a notch there and rotates this cam, which pushes this to whatever's next, AM or PM. Or has spent 3 years not doing that, rather producing some sort of strange randomness. And because I've never got my act together and actually sat and watched it as it changed, or videoed it as it changed, I still have no idea what goes wrong. Absolutely ridiculous. So what I thought I'd try the other day is to, in fact that's bent round now, is to just put pressure thing, because all I can think of, I've checked the geometry of it so many times, it just will not work effectively. Sometimes not. I think it might be dropping down really fast and spinning this too fast, so I've put a little bit of bent card for now just to give a little bit of pressure on this, so it has to push this round and not spin it. So it's, what is it, 7:30, there we are, 7:30 something or other PM. And I will now leave this, and tomorrow morning or whenever, well yes, hopefully I'll be asleep when this changes, hopefully tomorrow morning that will say AM. Welcome back, another day, another day, and another day. Look at this, 2 coats later and a quick polish with a clean cloth. Look at that, it's just so beautiful. Look at the grain, oh, gorgeous. So anyway, stop admiring that. I'm now going to glue all this together, and most excitingly, although it might just be another fluke, I set this to PM last night. As you know, it's now 11 o'clock this morning AM, and it changed properly. Oops. So I'll keep my eye on that, but perhaps a little spring will solve the problem. Should be very exciting. And now I'm going to put the LQ or QI or whatever it's, LG TV on. Rather than watching a kettle boil, which never happens obviously, I switched this on so many times and it takes ages to warm up, by which time I've gone and found something else to do. But with this putting together to do, I think I'm going to have time. Oh, it's the same with coffee. Coffee with foamy head, because you shake the milk about 10 times first. Put the kettle on so many times and then wander off, get on with something else, forget I've done it, then go back. Anywho, mustn't grumble. Amazon Prime, oh, such lovely people. I've clicked on the free to me. Well, actually, Mr. Bezos, Jeffrey, who's actually now left, so not him, someone else, it's not free to me, is it? Because I'm having to pay, well, my wife's having to pay £7.50 or something a month, so it's not free. Ridiculous, these companies trying to make out they're doing you such a favour. It's after lunch. Obviously I missed the action, but look, it's PM. This is really exciting. I say 3 years this has been in development, and that's the last thing I need to work out before I can get a sort of working version. Great stuff. I've got this glued together. So it's a bit tricky gluing something as fragile or as thin as this together, but with the aid of the V blocks and some other bits of metal I've got, and a variety of G-clamps and things, I've got it all glued. I've glued everything along the edge, which, like I was saying before, now I've stained everything, it doesn't matter, even if a bit of glue squeezes out, which thankfully it hasn't, but it doesn't matter. So they're glued along there, reinforcing blocks regularly put in, which will stop it vibrating too much in the cab, or vibrating to pieces. There's the little place where the flicker lamp's going to be. There's the shelf. Now what I'm doing is, while that's drying, during the meanwhile, I'm working on the hinge again. There's the hinge. I've scribed a line both sides and found some lovely little screws. What are they? 2mm by 8mm brass wood screws. Oh, fabulous. And I'm going to use those. I'm going to drill out 3 holes on either side of the hinge that I can then use to screw into this little bit here and this little bit here. So we'll give that a go. Oh, and I found this lovely, look at this, lovely latch. It's got 2 ball bearings with springs in, all made of brass. You've got little screw retainers for the springs. Fantastic. I've had it sitting around from B&Q, so inevitably, you know, cheap, well, it wasn't cheap, expensive cack. Look, they've sold it, and obviously while they were manufacturing it, they drilled the hole in the wrong place or countersunk it and it broke. But why throw it out? Why not just pass it on to some foolish customer, which they did. I want to use this, so I'm going to have to come up with an alternative for this latch thing. Anywho, let's get on with it. Right, the battery is recharged, sort of. Now it's time to make this piece, the flickering flame effect, like I used on the Is It Time for Tea machine, which looks absolutely gorgeous. Amazed. And the horn, where you poke the plastic bags in. So to start with, I've cut out the 2 discs on the laser cutter. 3mm acrylic. This one's engraved, this one isn't. But because, and again, like I was saying before, it's the first time I've tried to print any sort of horn shapes on the 3D printer. And what I should have done is to create a vertical section here so it fits into the wood and into the plastic, but I didn't. I remember vaguely thinking about it and then forgetting about it. So what I've done is to use a rotating abrasive thing, ball, just to quickly sort of route a radius on there, or an angle. And now it fits like a glove, like a 3D printed glove fitting into a laser cut 3mm thing. So that's fine. This bit at 3mm is so it fits into the wood, so you don't see a black ring where it fits through the front panel. Another great thing I realised recently, which is bleedingly obvious but I'd never realised, was that while I was painting, because obviously the spray booth, which is a doorway, has the air filtered by a filter and blown over, and that gets rid of all the tack and dust and stuff, which is great. But what it also means, and there's the extractor fan at the back drawing a little bit of air up, but that produces far more than that sucks out, which means it's good because it keeps dust off this area, but it's very bad because it blows all of the paint, or large proportions of it, all into the workshop, so that everything, because I usually use brass paint, ends up with a very fine, delicate coating of brass. Probably my lungs in addition to that. And I suddenly realised, leave that fan on filtering until you paint. That's going to fall off any minute. It's really vibrating badly, I don't know why. It works brilliantly. So just that's on all the time. The minute I start painting, I switch that filter fan off, leave the extractor on, spray it all up, Bob's your uncle, the paint all stays in here and gets drawn down there, and then as soon as I've finished, I put the filter fan back on and it keeps it all clean. But by that time all of the paint particles and fumes have gone outside. Fantastic, it works a treat. It's made such a difference. I've just taken the dog for a walk. It is walked, and I've come back and there are 2 packages. Ooh, and in one package there are, and I'm very excited about this, I can't wait to see what they look like. There, one of the flicker flame effect LEDs, 2 watt, 12 volts. So that's very exciting, can't wait to see that. In the past, with the Is It Time for Tea machine, I used a much bigger one. Right, what's in here? And here's the other one. Dicuno, a brighter vision for tomorrow. What on earth is this? What's like a bulb holder? Ah, bulb holders, brighter vision. I see what they're trying to do now. A very posh box. Oh, that's nice. Lovely. Nice silicon wires, and is it ceramic as they said it was? I think it is. Brilliant. So that should fit. Does it? No. Oh, would you believe it? Sent me the wrong. Well, right. Forgive me. Best laid plans and all that. That's ridiculous. It's too small for these ones, and it said it was a G4. Oh well. Let's go and read the instructions again. Oh well, we'll try it anyway. Power supply at 12 volts. 12 of your very best of filters. And where are you? There you are. A lamp there and a lamp there. In fact, to try and prevent short circuits like that. And 3, 2, 1. Actually, that's pretty good. Let's switch this off. I'm very pleased with that. I loved the thing that I liked about the larger one I used was the fact that the flames broke up and you'd get a little bit of the top coming off looking like the tops of the flames, inevitable obviously. And this looks like it does the same thing. I think that's going to look really nice, especially behind a confusing window. But I'm very pleased with that. So that's 12 volts at, well, it's not even registering 10 milliamps, so very low then. Fantastic, and they all fade and flicker, and it looks really nice. And I bet if you shine it on something, it looks like you're being illuminated by a flame. Fantastic. Anyway, I'll stop going on about that. That's very exciting. So that is going to go behind here. It's just the right size. So I might put a reflector on the back because these LEDs go all the way around. So I might put a reflector on the back and see what it looks like. Brilliant. I forgot to say, thanks very much for watching. I hope you found it useful and interesting. Hope to see you next time when we'll be doing all these exciting parts. Excellent.